Well, look at that list. I mean, that is a remarkable list of decisions they have to make in Tampa right now. If you go down that list of players, if you were to add the name Tom Brady, you would say these are the people who just won them a Super Bowl. So they have to make all of these decisions as they work their way forward here. Jeff, what are we hearing about the likelihood here of who they only get to tag one person? Who is the likeliest one that they will assure themselves of keeping?
Well, Chris Godwin, to everyone's point, makes the most sense in a lot of ways from the standpoint that this is the guy that he hasn't gotten paid yet. He's going to look for that big dollar contract. Whether he can get that done now, he could definitely get it done elsewhere. Whether he can get it done with the Bucs is basically their decision on whether they franchise. Shaq Barrett, though, to Lewis's point, makes the most sense from the positional standpoint. The downside there is, though, because he was tagged last year, it's a 20% bump on top of that. So it's really going to come down to Jason Licht putting a priority on how he can replace those guys if he potentially loses them. I think they'll ultimately tag Chris Godwin.
Chris Godwin, who is a 24-year-old receiver, so he hasn't made the huge money out there yet, and he is one who people will be throwing money at. But, Mike, we all just sat here and watched the Buccaneers win a Super Bowl primarily because that defense was so good. So as you're making these decisions, are you prioritizing the defense?
Absolutely. I would try to get Shaq Barrett done to a long-term deal, bring Levante David back, hopefully Ndamukong Suh. And I love Chris Godwin. I agree with Lewis and Jeff because he has versatility. But if he has to graduate, we've already seen them manufacture other players on offense, and maybe it's Antonio Brown back on a one-year deal. And while I love Godwin, you have to get that defense fortified. That gives you the foundation. Tom Brady can make up for the other end on offense.
You know, Lewis, it's an interesting question, and it's one that sort of goes throughout the league. But how are you valuing a wide receiver when you have a quarterback the stature of Tom Brady, who sometimes makes all sorts of players look like they're stars? You know, how significant is it to you to make sure you keep this one receiver?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a tough situation, but I think because of where Chris plays in the context of this offense, and because when you're looking down the road about what's the next best alternative, and you look at how strong the draft is at wide receiver, especially in the slot at the slot position, there are alternatives that you feel as though you could bring in, and obviously aren't going to be, you know, right off the bat as productive as Chris Godwin is, because you have to give the man his respect. He is one of the very best at playing inside in their offense. But there are alternatives. As far as the defense is concerned, when you look at the composition of their outside linebacker designated pass rush position, Shaq Barrett and JPP are really it. And JPP, as good as he is getting older. Shaq is right now in the prime of his career. You have to make it a priority to make sure that the side of the football and the position in particular that drove the bus in the Super Bowl in particular for us to win it, and that's not taking anything away from Tom Brady, is the position we have to take care of. It's the position that every team is trying to take care of. Guys who can hunt quarterbacks down and change the course of games by closing them out. Shaq Barrett is one of those people. You have to make sure he is in the fold.
And quickly, Jeff, I asked this question with a little bit of a smile on my face. Which general manager is making these decisions in Tampa Bay right now? The one in the office or the one who wears the number 12?
You joke, but that was literally what was on my mind. If I'm Jason Licht, I know this relationship between Jason Licht and Tom Brady. It's incredibly strong. It's actually incredibly healthy. And in this situation, it will not surprise me at all when Jason Licht goes to Tom Brady and says, how much does Chris Godwin mean to you? That could dictate the ultimate decision here.